So we can now go live to the NPP headquarters where running mate of the party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is this morning addressing the media on a number of issues, particularly the 2016 budget.
In office, one would expect that major gains would be made by this government in tackling the major problems of the Ghanaian economy. These are problems of inclusive economic growth to address unemployment, decline in the agricultural sector, the rising cost of living, collapsing businesses, the energy crisis that we have come to know as DUMSO, the unsustainable increase in the debt, poor infrastructure, rising interest rates, exchange rate depreciation, the rise in fiscal and balance of payment deficits, and corruption. If one factors supplementary budget since 2009, the 2016 budget is the 8th main budget in 7 years. But we've had a presentation of over 10 budgets. Minority Leader, in fact, tells me that there have been 17 budgets. All of these budgets since 2009 promised a better Ghana. Yet the outcomes consistently have been very abysmal. The 8 main budgets over the last 7 years have promised to address these challenges with various policies, and the 2016 budget is no different. Today, the promise is to change lives and transform the economy. One really wonders if this government is in touch with reality. The reality for most Ghanaians is that the economic policies of this government have destroyed many lives. As young graduates are unable to find jobs, people are unable to pay school fees for their wards, people cannot pay hospital bills, businesses are collapsing, and so on. Many lives have been destroyed, literally, because of DUMSO in this economy. As we will shortly show, this economy has rather been deformed and not transformed. We have kept warning the government that you cannot use propaganda to manage an economy. The reality is that the people are suffering under this government, and there is no transformation. The government propaganda cannot change this reality. Ghanaians were promised a better Ghana in 2008, but going into the 8th year of government in 2016, this government has delivered one of the worst economic performances of any government in Ghana's history. The record after the last 7 budgets, main budgets of the NDC, is certainly and definitely not one of a better Ghana than the one that this government inherited in 2009. Rather, it is a record of a monumental waste of an historic opportunity to transform the economy and to improve the lives of Ghanaians. While budgets are a statement of intent for the year ahead, there is really no substitute for a 7-year record of performance. We have an opportunity today to compare the record of performance of the MPP government of 2001 to 2008 under President J. Kufuor and the NDC administrations of Presidents Mills and Mahama between 2009 and 2015. Also have an opportunity to comment on the 2016 budget and present an alternative vision for the NPP that will guide future NPP budgets under, initially, inshallah, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government. So let us look at what has been happening to economic growth in this country. What is the record that we have? We recall, ladies and gentlemen of the press, fellow Ghanaians, the GDP growth rate, which was inherited by the NPP under the stellar leadership of President Kufuor in 2000, was 3.7%. We inherited a growth rate of 3.7%. In 2001, the economy grew at 4.2%. In 2002, it grew at 4.5%. In 2003, it rose again to 5.3%. And then 2004, 5.6. 2005, 5.9. 2006, 6.4. And 2007 and 2008, by 2008, we had reached 8.4%. This is steady. This is indeed steady growth. And it occurred without revenues from crude oil. Exports in periods and exports in periods where the world was seeing the worst economic crisis in decades, because oil prices had reached a peak of $147 per barrel in this period. In the process, as the economy grew between 2001 and 2008, from 3.7% to 8.4%. In the process, the size of Ghana's economy increased from $5.1 billion to $28.5 billion. This is in this 2001 to 2008 period. There's an increase in the size of the economy by some 500%. Even in the face of a global economic crisis in 2007 and 2008, economic growth rose to 8.4%, as I have noted. Ghana was transformed during the period of MPP's tenure from a low-income HIPC economy to a middle-income economy on the frontiers of emerging market status. The MPP's record of economic growth compares with the uneven and recently declining growth rates achieved by the NDC and the Mills Mahama administrations. In 2009, the growth rate swung down to 4%, and it grew to 8% and up to 14% with the onset of oil production. For 2012, the economy grew at 8.8%, climbing down to 7.6% in 2013, and plummeting to 4.1% in 2014. The provisional 2015 growth rate is 4.1%. And for the first time since the inclusion of oil revenues beginning from 2011, the non-oil component of GDP of 4.2% is higher than the overall real GDP growth of 4.1%. The 2014 revised figures indicate that the GDP growth rate was 4%, same as the non-oil GDP growth rate. In the 8 years of this NDC government, the size of the economy would have increased from $28.5 billion in 2008 to a projected $39.4 billion in 2016 with oil. This is a 52% increase in the size compared to the 500% increase witnessed under the MPP without oil. Tomorrow is Farmers' Day, and this gives us also a good reason to examine the agricultural sector. In critiquing, ladies and gentlemen, in critiquing the 2015 budget, the MPP stated that even though we were happy with the government's declaration of intent to promote export-led growth via identifying and promoting agricultural produce. It was not clear by which method the government wanted to achieve its object. At the time, we stated that the government had mentioned only one agricultural produce, that is cotton, for stimulation. We stressed the fact that there was a disconnect between the declaration and practical promotion, since there was nothing in the budget to pursue that otherwise noble objective. The provisional agricultural growth of 5.3% in 2014, the provisional agricultural growth of 5.3% in 2014, we noted, was on account of logging, which had registered a growth of 16.5%, and we cautioned government to show greater commitment to agricultural growth. One of the reasons why agriculture is not doing well is because of the paltry budget allocation to the sector. In 2009, 3% of the entire budget was allocated to agriculture. It climbed down to 1.9% in 2012 and 1.03% in 2013. In 2014, only 1.07% of the total budgeted allocation went to agriculture, out of a total of 44 billion Ghana cedis of the budget. For 2015, only 484 million, equivalent to 1.1% of the budget, is allocated to the two ministries of Food and Agriculture and Fisheries and Aquaculture Development. In 2016, the total budget figure of 50 billion is the allocation to the two ministries of Food and Agriculture and Fish and Aquaculture, equivalent to 1.1% of the entire budget. All these paltry allocations have been made against the background of the Maputo Declaration, which provides that governments in Africa must invest at least 6% of their annual budgets in agriculture. Ladies and gentlemen, agriculture is stagnating and has since 2008 underperformed. Real growth in agriculture has tumbled from 7.4% in 2008 to 7.2% in 2009 through to 5.3% in 2010. In 2011, we went to 0.8%. Then 2012, 2.3%, 5% in 2013, and 4.6% in 2014. Now, in 2015, we are at rock bottom. The growth in agriculture this year is 0.04%. Zero. Indeed, the crops subsector, crops, the dominant factor in agriculture, experienced a negative growth of 1.7%. Crops, negative growth of 1.7%. The stagnation in agriculture has found expression in the importation of $1.5 billion worth of foodstuffs into the country in 2014, against an import bill of $600 million in 2008. So we have more than doubled the imports of food since 2008, from $600 million in 2008 to $1.5 billion by 2014.
So that was a live feed from the headquarters of the opposition New Patriotic Party. You heard the running mate of the flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, address the media, and it's still ongoing. As you can see, we'll bring you much more in subsequent broadcast. Time now for us to wrap up here on News Desk. My name is Kwabena Chenche Hinebwasi. There's more news, however, on myjoyonline.com. Time now for Join Us Interactive with me, Akrofi Smartabe.